Fight for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk.
You're listening to Reignite, a podcast dedicated to revealing the strong parallels between fantasy and reality. I'm Frankie.
And I'm Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
So while your hosts are strong advocates for mage rights, it's hard to ignore a woman worried about her brother, especially if she's destitute without him. Masha informs us that her brother, a Templar recruit, has gone missing, and Knight Commander Meredith is keeping the situation hushed up. A visit to the gallows reveals that Karen isn't the only missing recruit, but one of them has returned, only to be followed out to the Wounded Coast by Knight Captain Cullen. Cullen exposes the recruit, then hands over the investigation to us, since we can move freely throughout the city of Kirkwall. AKA, we can go to a brothel without anyone questioning us.
Well, or AKA, we can go to a brothel without being embarrassed by all the pretty ladies, because that's really Cullen's problem.
Is that Cullen's problem? I think Cullen has other problems.
I mean, Cullen has a lot of problems.
Anyway, all right, let's get into it. Masha is in Hightown. She tries to talk to a Templar. Templar brushes her off, so she is there, lost, confused, doesn't know what to do, when we approach her and say, hey, are you okay? What's good?
Yeah, she's clearly in distress and needs help. And so, of course, our Hawks, at least if nothing else, have in common that we help those in need.
Yeah. So while we are, like I said, both strong advocates for mage rights, we are very much ATAB, all Templars are bastards. This is kind of our first opportunity to learn more about the Templars in Kirkwall and their, I wanted to say management, because that's kind of the word, but it's not really the word.
Basically, yeah.
And their upper management. Their CEO, if you will.
Yeah.
Knight Commander Meredith.
Yeah.
So we hear that Knight Commander Meredith is insanely paranoid. She sees demons everywhere. She punishes mages at will without due process. And a lot of this hits a little close to home, given the political state of the country we are both from.
Yeah. Some of us are still here.
Oh, I escaped.
Yeah.
And I am hoping to stay that way.
Yeah.
I have a spare room downstairs. You and Sarah are welcome to.
Thanks, but can't leave the fam here.
I know, that's sad. You should make them come with you.
We got to stay here and fix it, unfortunately. Too many people to bring with.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we are very familiar with people who are in charge who use their paranoia to, or rather use their power to justify their paranoia or to satisfy it, which is really frustrating and also really dangerous because paranoia isn't always founded in something real.
No, although sometimes it is. I mean, also...
Sometimes it can be.
Yeah, but part of the problem here, I think, is... Well, first of all, I'm just tired of this, 10-year-old, 15-year-old, 20-year-old game being exactly like what's going on right now several times
Coming
already.
for our reality so very hard.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. But yeah, no, and I think what's worse about Knight Commander Meredith is that she's very... it's very clear that she feels this way. She's not trying to, placate certain people. Well, I guess she might be placating the other people who are afraid of mages, but she's doing her job and she's doing it despite criticism.
Yes. So we find out things like people harboring escaped mages disappear.
Yep.
Templars just straight up threaten people. Mages are made tranquil against their will. I was very diplomatic and kind with her because she's scared, she's stressed out, her brother's missing. Sarcasm, I did not feel, would be useful in this situation.
Agreed.
She just seems so fragile, you know?
I know where I can get away with that, and it'll be with whatever Templars I talk to. It will not be with this young woman.
Yeah, for sure. And when her brother stopped writing to her, she went to find out if he was okay, and Knight Commander Meredith threw her out, which I find incredibly sus.
Yes, correct.
And I just feel awful for Masha. The not knowing is the worst. It's terrible. It makes innocent problems seem even worse. And if Karen were just sick, you could say that to her and be like, oh yeah, he took ill, we're taking care of him. And Masha would be like, okay. But by refusing to tell her anything, you're making it so much worse.
Well, right. Nobody says no comment unless there's a comment, right?
Right. So I think Knight Commander Meredith fucked up by letting this woman go. Like, you think that nobody's going to listen to her because she's a woman without status, without power. But there are people who will come to her aid because there are good people in the world. And we have to believe that.
Well, right. But people like Knight Commander Meredith don't believe that. They don't believe that there are other people who will band together. They think their power and their status is enough to get away with whatever they want.
So we agreed to help I almost said Meredith. We agreed to help Masha.
Yes.
Who did you take with you?
So I took Carver, Anders, and Varric. Mostly because I stared down the barrel of Fenris and Avelina and went, well, neither of you are going to be helpful here.
You're both a little too much for what I need.
Right. And I feel like Carver, while he also is grumpy and complains a lot, he broadly hates everyone. He doesn't have a leaning, although I think by the end of the mission that may be different, but we'll get to that.
I have been keeping my squad of Anders, Bethany, and Varric. I just love having Varric with me. He's very useful. He knows the city really well. So it makes sense for him to always be with me because I'm just like, hey, what's this guy's deal? And Varric can tell me.
Basically, yeah.
Whereas, I like to imagine that my Hawk and Bethany have a very strong relationship. It makes sense that they would always work together. And also, I'm in love with Anders.
I mean, yes, we know that. Yeah, I don't have a clear front runner for a relationship in this one, which is a first. Isabel is a strong choice because of a previous attachment, but and other redacted things that I don't want to talk about yet. But I don't know that I'll pursue that. We'll see.
Yeah. So we get to the gallows.
Yeah.
I go over to the gallows with my two mage friends, and I'm just like, I dare you to say anything.
I mean, it's even stronger for me as my Hawk because I am a mage.
Yeah, your Hawk is the mage.
And so I just walk in going, what? Say something. I dare you. Bring it.
Bethany the whole time is like, why would you do this to me?
Anders.
This is so stressful.
Anders is basically the same. I don't want to be here, right? There's so many places I'd rather not be, and this is at the top of the list.
So we find the recruits. They're all whispering in a corner and gossiping, and they have orders to keep quiet. There are other recruits missing, though, at least 6 or more. I have a funny moment where the Templar recruits are like, why do you care? You're not a Templar. And Bethany is like, nope, no Templars in this family. Not at all. Never a Templar in this family. Can we please leave?
Yeah. Anders is basically, yes, why would we be invested in this at all? It's not like some of us are mages here.
So the recruits are like, we hear that Meredith sees the recruits and test their loyalty, and if they do not do what she commands, then she kills them.
Yeah, basically like a frat house hazing policy, but with death.
And it's just, on the one hand, I'm like, I'd believe this. I would believe this given everything I've heard, but also I have never met her, so I don't know for sure if this is what she would be like. So there's this element of is this just like the crazy urban legend that you guys are whispering to each other that grows and grows and grows, or is this like a thing that's actually happening?
Yeah, you basically go, can you give me like real information? One of you must know something.
The thing is, one of the recruits is like, you guys are crazy.
Yeah.
None of this is true. I saw Wilmid the other day. He's back. Clearly he didn't disappear. And everybody else is like, what the fuck you mean you saw Wilmid?
Yeah, what do you mean you saw him the other day? We thought he was dead.
Like, why didn't you tell anyone? And she's like, I don't know. Knight Captain Cullen told me not to, and then he ran after him. It's like, you didn't think that was suspicious?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't think that might be a problem?
This doesn't support my faith in the Templars as a whole. Not that I had any to begin with.
You're all kind of dumb. And I'm a little concerned.
Which continues to, I think, support maybe our comparisons we've made to other things in the real world.
Yeah. So we head out to the Wounded Coast, I guess, to catch up with Cullen and Wilmid and be like, hey guys.
Yep.
You don't know me, but I am emotionally invested in what's going on here.
Yeah. And Cullen initially is basically like, this is a Templar matter. The Templars will handle it.
And like, he's beating the shit out of this guy. And if you're just a stranger walking up,
yeah,
my response was like, the fuck?
Yeah. Well, because Wilmid is basically begging for his life and not to be hit. And then he hits him, knees him in the crotch, knocks him down. And then we roll up like, hey, what's going on? This doesn't look right. Why do you have a sword on this person?
Like, I thought you only beat the shit out of mages. What's going on?
But shortly thereafter, Cullen's, let's say, paranoia is actually rewarded as Wilmid reveals to us and Cullen that he is a demon or possessed by a demon and summons more demons. And then we fight demons.
Of course. Because you can't have a Dragon Age game without blood magic.
Why is it always demons?
It's always demons. So we fight the demons.
Yep.
And Cullen does admit that, like, maybe if I weren't so secretive, we wouldn't have lost so many.
Yeah. And we're like, you think?
Yeah, you sure? Because, not telling anyone anything seems like a very good strategy based on the results.
Yeah. In my notes, I basically just have, fuck you, Cullen.
Yeah, me too.
Underlined.
Just fuck you. I hate you.
It is funny and ironic to hate a character now, at least at this point, as much as I hate the voice actor. Greg Ellis is a bad person, but
yeah. Also,
Cullen has some redemption in the third game, which we'll get to. But in the first two games, he just sucks mostly.
Yeah, and as a result of my first game, Cullen fucking went crazy. Yeah. And became a serial killer.
Yeah.
Why is he back in the Order?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I'm kind of mad that they retconned that.
Yeah.
How dare you? Just pick a different Templar. Create a better one.
Right.
Give me a reason to like Templars. Don't give me the same idiot who became a murderer, apparently. Anyway, Cullen tells us that his investigation led to the Blooming Rose, but it was too awkward, so he couldn't, really talk to anyone. Also, because if he does, and they admit something, maybe they get the Blooming Rose in trouble and they get shut down by Templars because they're serving Templar recruits.
Yeah, also, when he talks about the pretty ladies there, it seems like he's too shy, which is very funny and kind of sad.
Well, most Templars are,
Yeah.
So, off to the Blooming Rose we go, and we speak to Vivica, who is, the keeper of the books. How did you handle talking to Vivica?
Not well.
Did you try to bribe her?
So, first, my opening line was, "Are you one of the girls who works here?" And she looks right at me, deadpan, and goes, "You're no prize to look at yourself, I was like, okay, fair. And then I tried to bribe her, and she's like, I'm going to pretend you didn't do that.
I also tried to bribe her. I didn't approach her saying, are you one of the girls who work here? I don't even remember what I said, but it was very neutral. It was like, hey, I need some help. Or whatever. And, I did try to bribe her because I was like, obviously, you work here. You probably need money.
Yeah.
If I worked here, I would want money.
Yeah, obviously.
But she basically said, fuck you, I'm not, like, someone that can be bought. And then, like, there's no winning with her.
No.
Because my response then was, okay, well, lives are at stake. So
Same.
I wanted to expedite things. And she was like, all right, don't be dramatic. Let me give you the information.
Yeah. She's a character.
The fuck you want from me?
To be fair, though, I stumbled in as a male presenting person of some status, and I too would be annoyed with me just if I had to do that job all day, probably. Just based on assumptions.
I too would be annoyed with you, just in general.
Basically, yes.
So she tells us that both recruits last interacted with Iduna, the exotic wonder from the east.
Yeah, did you comment on the stage name?
Yeah.
So did I.
Sounds better than the tramp from Lowtown.
Yeah. So with the information in hand, we go to confront Iduna.
Iduna?
They say it both ways, I feel like.
Iduna!
Oh, boo.
You loved it. You secretly loved it. In your heart of hearts, you were like, yes.
I don't know. The pained face that the listeners can't see would say otherwise.
Pretty sure. Anyway. So we speak to this exotic wonder from the east, and it's automatically weird because when you ask her about Karen, she immediately is like, doesn't sound familiar. I've never heard of this person. Whereas we know that you have. There is actual proof.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly you're lying. I immediately go aggressive with her because I'm like, I don't have the patience to play a game with you right now. We're not friends. So tell me the truth or regret.
Yeah. I try and reason with her, and then Varric starts to act all weird as she continues to speak softly and suggests that we just have a good time romp there instead of talking about this anymore. And Varric starts to support that idea. And then it's clear that something's going on at this point. She insists that I put my own knife to my throat, which, first of all...
Well, first she asks who told us about her.
Oh, right.
And no matter what you choose, whatever you're about to say, you don't actually say.
Right.
You tell her that Vivica showed you the books.
Right.
So she's using magic to pull the truth out of you to basically put you under her suggestion. So whatever she wants you to do, you will do. And then she wants you to slide your knife across your throat. And all of your friends are just standing there.
Yep. But because I'm a mage, I assume it's because I'm a mage.
Oh, good. I think it is because you're a mage, because I called on Bethany for help.
Yeah. Because I'm a mage, I was able to absolutely immediately break it. She's stunned, and then I go, blood magic? What are you doing? I'm a mage. I know this stuff. What the hell? And, like, immediately get pissed.
Oh, yeah. When you get pissed at her, she immediately, like, takes a knee, bows her head, is like, here's all the information. It was Tarani. Tarani made me do it. Did Tarani make you do it? Did Tarani make you tell me to commit suicide?
Yeah, and so you push back, she immediately crumbles, you get all the information you want, and then we get a choice that sucks, that I hate, that is dumb for this game. After you get the information from her, you get two choices. You can kill her, or you can send her to the Templars. These options suck.
All right, let me tell you what I think about it.
Okay.
She's clearly no good.
Right.
If you send her to the Templars, she's gonna get tranquiled. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Which is worse than death. Many mages feel. Because it disconnects them from the Fade and they can never dream again. And it basically lobotomizes them.
Right.
So I decided to kill her. Also because I was mad that she tried to make me kill myself.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm coming from it of an angle of if she was truly being manipulated to do this stuff and like didn't have any other choice, which as a working class person, you might not. I wanted a third option where I could just throw her in jail for the rest of her life. And there was no third option. So I sent her the Templars, which Anders did not like. But I was like, Anders, would you wanted me to kill the mage instead? I don't understand. There's no pleasing you.
Oh, Anders was on board with me killing her.
Yeah, then that's why he
Anders
was pissed.
was like, you know what? Fair. You know what? Fair. She did try to make you commit suicide. Like, that was the thing that pushed me towards, like, no, fuck you.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Because, like, I don't know. If you are in such a situation where you don't want to do the things that you're doing and you're being put up to it, like, she was just too ready to just eliminate you.
Yeah.
She could have done anything else.
She could have. Yeah.
So that pushed me towards, like, you know what? You're a bad person. And I think you should not be around anymore to hurt other people.
Fair choice. I mean, I guess at this point, either option meant basically death, so, or a fate worse than death. So it is what it is. I don't know. It felt too binary to me.
Yeah. But also, like, I'm with your cause, but fuck this.
No, yeah. No, I'll have a more extreme reaction when we get to the next part. So.
Yeah. So let's head over to the next part. Fight, fight, fight. Trap, trap, trap. Man in a cocoon of light.
Yeah, so we go to the sanctuary where apparently there are a ton of blood mages possessing the Templars to, like, infiltrate and destroy the Templars from the inside. And when we confront...
Which is, like, half of a good idea.
Yeah,
Okay, hear me out. Take out the blood magic element. If instead they had worked on turning Templars over to their side emotionally and getting them to see mages as people and getting those people into the recruits, then you have a fighting force to protect you if things break bad. You have people to smuggle you information. You have people that can help with actual protection of mages and with a mage underground to keep them from getting taken into the circle. So by creating this, like, chaos army of demons, there's no control. There's no organization. All you're doing is just destroying the system and leaving a void where perhaps some other system can step in that, who knows, could be worse, could be better. You don't know. But if you strategically insert your own people into the Templar organization, then you have so much more control.
Yes.
That's why I say that is half of a good idea.
Sure, fine, but they do it all... but instead they leaned into what the Templars are afraid of in the first place and make it way worse. I agree. Like, and when you confront what is it, Tahani? Tirani. When you confront Tirani, Anders immediately goes, "Really? Blood magic? There are other options other than demons." He's so frustrated. He's like, "Really? This is what you choose?"
This is why I love him, because we were on the same page all the time.
Yeah. And then she spouts more evil stuff, and then we have to fight her and kill her along with all her disciples.
And, like, she literally says, "We should rule you all." And it's like, no.
Oh, baby, no.
Equality.
She also mentions to Vinter and the mages there that had the right idea. I was like, no.
This is why.
This is why
you get imprisoned in the circle.
You're part of the problem.
Oh my god. So fight Tirani, kill Tirani, that's all done. Approaching the light cocoon, Karen is released, and Varric raises a very good point. Is it Karen, or is it Karen plus a little something extra?
Yeah. And so if you have Anders in your party, you can say, "Anders, help me out here. Is there a demon?" And Anders literally blasts him with a beam of light that goes through him. And Kieran goes, "What the hell was that?" And Anders just turns to you and goes, "If he was a demon, he would have defended himself. He's fine."
It's just my favorite thing. Like, hey, if it works, it works.
And Kieran was confused, but then you can just release him and say, "All right, fine, go back." And then Anders is like, maybe play down the demon bit when we get back to Cullen.
So my favorite thing is that Karen's just standing there full on shirtless, this incredibly buff man.
Yeah.
And he's just, like, so confused.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I have to go." And I'm like, "Yeah, please go. Please put on a shirt and then go see your sister."
Yeah. Stop distracting people.
Like, no one's going to be able to get any work done until you put on a shirt.
Basically.
You are the buffest man. Why are you so buff?
Right.
It seems wrong. So, back to the gallows we go.
Yes.
And Karen is hugging his sister. It looks like such a happy ending. But then we talk to Cullen and we're like, "Hey, good news. Karen's alive. Bad news. Half of your recruits might be possessed by demons. No big."
And then Colin immediately turns to Kieran and is like, well, we need to do something about Kieran then, as he also might be possessed by a demon. But you can step forward and help Kieran out and go, oh, we ran tests. He's fine, which I did. And then
I did that too.
And then Colin's like, I would hate to know what kind of tests you ran, but fine.
So a couple more interactions with Cullen and why I hate Cullen. Cullen says, like, this is why we have to, collect all the mages and keep them in prison, and, like, why they need oversight. And I'm over here like, mages have been systematically abused. And Cullen's like, how can you say that? With everything you've seen, mages can't be treated like people. They're weapons. And I'm like, I will stab you in the throat.
He said that to me, and I'm holding a staff standing in front of him. Like, and I couldn't comment on that. Also,
He called you less than human.
yeah. And you can't say anything. He talks to you like he talks to any hawk. But also, I forgot to mention, throughout all of this, Carver was making commentary about how he never really understood the plight of the Templars, but now sort of gets it.
Oh.
And after the demon interaction, when we're talking to Kieran, I forgot to mention, he's like, I had a sister who was a mage, a father who was a mage, a brother who's a mage, but I never really understood the Templar side of it. I can see why they would be afraid after fighting creatures like that. And I'm like, ugh. And then even when I push back on Cullen during this conversation, Carver's like, but how can you say that? You saw what they were capable of. And I just looked at him. I'm like, bro, I'm right here.
Carver.
Yeah. And so I made a hypothesis to Frankie that Carver's going to join the Templars, isn't he? And of course, Frankie was like, what? No.
That's so crazy. Why would he do that? He has a sibling who's a mage. Why would he join the system that is devoted to destroying all mages? That's wild. It's wild.
Yeah, Frankie's not a good liar.
Why would he do such a thing?
Anyway, but yes, I hate...
I'm an excellent liar. Just ask my spouse.
Only when
my spouse who was convinced that we don't get ducks in Northern Ireland for a full second.
Gullibility does not support your ability to lie. I'm just saying.
I'm saying I was able to convince my spouse that there were no ducks in Northern Ireland for a full second, which I feel is a second longer than I should have been able to.
I love John. He is the dumbest smart person I've ever met. He will believe you because he loves you.
No, because I delivered my lie with such gravitas and sincerity.
I see. John, write in. Let us hear your side of the story. Anyway, love you, John. So yeah.
Someone has to. And it's me! And Matt.
So, yeah. So, Cullen continues to prove that he's an asshat and that, why we say ATAB every episode.
Yes. Okay. Anything else here? Oh. So, one of the outcomes of us being like, Karen's not possessed. Like, he's fine. You can keep him in the order. Is... Cullen saying, if he doesn't show any signs of being possessed within 10 years, then he'll be eligible for knighthood. Which means that this man has to be a recruit for 10 years.
Yeah.
Which means he doesn't get the full knighthood pay. He basically gets paid like shit. And Masha tells us, like, I can't really afford to pay you. And Cullen's like, I'll take care of that. It's like, if you weren't a piece of shit, then Masha wouldn't have to worry.
Yeah. Also,
so
who knew that a order of a military group that has systemic problems within it would also treat their recruits like crap and maybe stunt the ones they don't like because they want to slow down the process intentionally and fuck with the system in a bad way. That never happens.
Of course not. Oh, we're gonna be railing against the system really hard, aren't we?
Oh, it only gets worse.
It does. Okay, cool. That is that entire mission. There was a lot more, like, go here, go there, go here, go there to this mission than we've done so far, I think.
Yeah, there was a lot of all over the place. In fact, I think the beginning part with Masha I'd done at another point by accident, probably just picking up quests, because when I started it the other day, I started with the recruits and the gallows, and I was like, I thought there was a previous step. It's probably because I had just picked up the quest elsewhere at another point.
Yeah, I think that there was a moment that I had already done as well where Masha is talking to like a guard or a Templar to try and make herself heard, and then they just like tell her to fuck off and walk away. Something that I do want to talk about a little bit is this recurring theme of the plight of women being shrugged off,
Uh-huh.
because we have seen previously that reports of women going missing.
Yep.
Who cares? They ran away. And now we see Masha, who is a young woman without status or power, trying to get help and just getting pushed away.
Right.
And I think we're going to just continue to see moments where women are treated as inconsequential by the world of Kirkwall.
Yes, I think it's a writing trope shorthand. I mean, this game is, I'm doing math, at least 14 or 13 years old.
Well, I don't bring it up. I don't bring it up as a negative thing. I'm not saying that this is like, oh, this is tropey storytelling. What I'm saying is, I think there is a point that the story is trying to make about how people are treated by like organizations of power.
Yes, I mean, I can see that for sure. I think where I was coming from is it can be viewed as tropey, but I think you're right. I think in this story in particular, it does have a point and it's leading somewhere. I think also it's interesting that one of the most powerful people in the city is a woman in Knight Commander Meredith. But yeah, I sort of remember where it goes. Like I did have the realization of where the missing women story goes, which I am dreading doing that mission at this point because of where it goes. But we'll get to that. Yeah. No spoilers. But yeah, I can see that from that perspective for sure. I think what I worry about is when a story focuses on the oppression of women or people of color. Any story has to handle that with care because it can become tropey or a white person writing what they know, which is to abuse those kinds of people, not because they do, but because how stories have done that for so long, because the world has done that for so long. I think it is interesting that, and a little frustrating, but again, maybe with intent, that every time we pick up missions like this, it's because someone's being ignored or not listened to, mostly women, but also, people like the mission we did where the king's son was meeting with a Canary in secret. Like, also that was viewed as like, well, he must be in trouble. He couldn't want to just talk to the Canary.
Because he's a man, he's in power.
Right. And so I think I do see that thread, and just be not just women without status, but anyone without status seems to get that treatment. And I think it leans...
Right, because we also have the elves with the serial killer.
Right. And so I think it's showing us something about people in power versus people without power. And that, based on what I remember of this game, admittedly only having played through it once, that's the crux of the pivot point of the story, is eventually the haves and the have-nots on some level.
Yeah. The people of Kirkwall are very disenfranchised. And I think even when... you find yourself rubbing elbows with the people of Hightown, like, it doesn't improve.
Right.
And Hawke becomes such a symbol for all the people of Kirkwall. And I think there's something really profound about playing a character like that. Yeah. I know a lot of people were down about Hawke because, like, you couldn't choose, like, you had to be a very specific person.
Right.
For DA2. And that disappointed a lot of people. But I think for the story that is being told, I think it's kind of important that we are all starting from the same place.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's funny. I think there's a similar complaint about Rook in the new game, in the Veilguard, because Rook, even though you don't have to be human in that game, also is a character that has a history before you take control of them and is coming from a very specific place to help tell that story. And I have noticed in my limited research, and I admit it's pretty limited, that folks who like this game a lot, like I do, this is my favorite Dragon Age game, tend to like the Veilguard more than folks who either like 1 or 3, especially people who like 1, because 1 is just a different game. None of the games after Origins tries to be like Origins. Right. I would say Inquisition gets closer, but still is trying to be something different. And so I think that's curious also, when understanding Hawke as a character, which we'll get into more as we get through the game. But I think I like Hawk a lot because Hawk reminds me of Shepard in that sense that Shepard is a character with a history that then you get to build a new, like the future for. And that's basically
Right.
what Hawk is, as well as Rook.
I see that. And I have heard from people saying if I wanted to play Mass Effect, I'd play Mass Effect, which valid, totally
fair.
valid. But I don't know. I like that. I like that there is this person who has a history that you can build on.
Yes. I think blank slates are great, but I think blank slates are a lot more work. But if you have a baseline to start from, I mean, also I think we'll get into this more when we'll talk more about the Veilguard, but the origins you pick for the Veilguard of what faction you're from also helps build the wealth of that character. Some of them are richer than others, whereas here, because Hawk is so focused as one thing, they can tell the story without much difference as far as Hawk's history, and I think makes it even more
Right.
focused.
And like you see this a little in Baldur's Gate as well, because in Baldur's Gate you have the option of creating a blank slate
Right.
or playing a character with that pre-established history. And I think there is something really dynamic about entering a game with stakes already established. Like I'm doing a playthrough as Astarion right now, and it's so different to be a person who like has nightmares about the person who traumatized them for
Yeah.
so long. And you get so much more insight into the world from Astarion's perspective.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's the difference between creating a character based on you or based on your imagination versus a character that
Yeah.
exists already. A ton of turn-based RPGs, especially the older ones from Square Enix, you're playing an established character. You're playing as Cloud. You're playing as Squall. Mostly talking about Final Fantasy. You're playing as Chrono. Like, you're playing as these characters that you don't get to create in your own light, but you're still playing through their story. And, you know, I think there's obviously room for both kinds of storytelling. I think that people just have a preference. And I think part of the problem with Hawk is they went in expecting Origins and that ultimate
Right.
creativity and got this character who's already in a lane that you can sway. And I don't mind it, but other people who wanted to create something from scratch and make it wholly their own, I could see the complaint.
Yeah, for sure. Like, neither is wrong. I just think that there is something to be gained from both experiences.
Agreed.
That was a nice conversation. I'm glad that we engaged in that. We don't do that often to like really talk about these kind of off story narrative points.
Right. I mean, I think it's something we could talk about more. I think also a game like Origins had less room for that because a lot of it was so catered to what you were creating. And also it was so much broader that we had to find the similarities to kind of have the conversation because that game is so much bigger. Whereas I think there's more room for conversations like this here because this game is basically a straight line with some small detours, which is both good and bad depending on your perspective, but allows to like go outside the lines a bit and like be more analytical about this one path that we're basically both on.
Yeah. Oh boy, it's gonna get interesting towards the end. Okay, awesome. I've decided not to do a fandom corner this time because I am extremely tired and I could not think about it. So that's my bad. But instead of a fandom corner, I do want to take a second to talk about how this episode is probably gonna be the last of 2024, right?
Yes, I believe so.
So it's been a rough year for both Matt and I for different reasons. Some reasons kind of crossed over a little bit. But it's been a rough year for both of us. So we had to skip our schedule in some ways. And, you know, we hate doing that. It makes us feel bad. But it had to be done. And I just want to say thank you to the folks who engage with us, who listen to us, who send us emails, who write us reviews, who wish us the best, because Matt and I love talking about these games and we love talking to each other, but it also is nice to know that people care and we never want to let people down. That's something that Matt and I both have in common. Letting people down is so stressful and we would hate to do it. But, you know, people have been patient and people have been kind. And that has been really important and helpful for both of us.
Yes. We really appreciate it. We still plan to do some kind of roundtable Veilguard discussion, likely in January, but don't hold us to it. I promise we will get to it before our actual Veilguard playthrough, which is many years away. But I just want to make sure that we have really great guests, and we're trying not to repeat guests, at least for the roundtable, because we've had other great guests on our other roundtable discussions, and they were lovely. But we want to continue to share voices that we haven't been able to share before, giving people a platform to talk about the things they love who might not otherwise get that opportunity. And so, in an ideal world, we'll get that out to you in January, but we'll see how it goes. But for sure, it's still in the plan. The timing of it is just kind of in flux at this point, but we promise we're still working on that. And thank you again, yes, for listening, for your patience. We have still continued to have incredible growth for the podcast. People are really interested in what we have to say about these BioWare games, which eventually we will run out of, but at least for the time being, have some more time to figure out what we're going to do next. And who knows, maybe there'll be a new Mass Effect by then, though I'm not holding my breath. But yes, I mirror everything that Frankie's saying, and we're really grateful for those who continue to listen, and we will continue to make podcasts for you as long as you continue to listen. I mean, let's be real. Frankie and I would yell about this stuff even if there was no one listening. So
yes,
the fact that you're here makes us even happier. So thank you.
Hell yeah. Big feelings over, yes?
Yes. So the next episode, we are going to swing back towards Qunari politics. I'm going to take that again. So for the next episode, we're going to swing back towards Qunari politics and meet with the real villain of Act 1 with the mission Shepherding Wolves. And we're close to the end of Act 1. Oh, Frankie, how much gold do you have?
Oh, I didn't check because we both hit over 50, and that was the thing that I cared about.
Yeah, I'm at 58 gold. I continue to grow in my gold because I'm rich.
Yeah, so rich.
But yet, in every conversation we have, we talk about how we don't have any money.
Because it doesn't exist. You can't look at it. This is money you're saving.
Right, exactly.
Like,
it's not real
it's
money.
Like the money. This is the money that is like in my joint account with John that we cannot touch. Is fake money.
It doesn't exist.
Until we decide to like buy a house or something. Then it can exist again.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, that's it. Cool. So if you like what you heard here, you can follow us on social media. We're everywhere. We're at Reignite Pod on Tumblr, Blue Sky, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You can send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. Matt and I are also on Blue Sky. I am super not active, but you can find me there anyway at Frankie B. Writes. And you can find Matt at DJ Stormageddon. I will not say anything about an underscore this time because nobody cares.
Wow, you've learned. I'm impressed.
Well, now that we're not promoting, I don't have to differentiate between your two accounts. That's
true.
why I always did it, to differentiate between the two accounts.
Understood.
So that way, if people went looking for you on Blue Sky, they had it in their head, me talking about the underscore.
Got it. Well, on that note, if you are following us on the Musk app that we no longer use, feel free to follow us over on Blue Sky or Instagram because that's where we are definitely more active. We will probably not be using Twitter anymore for a load of reasons. If you are on there at all, you know why. So yeah, we'll post there as well that we're moving away from that platform. But also, I know a lot of y'all are already in the Discord, which is honestly the best place to be. That said, please rate, review, subscribe on your favorite podcatcher if you can. It helps us get seen so other people can find this podcast and join in the conversation.
We're members of the Certain Point of View Network. Visit certainpov.com to find more nerdy podcasts, each with a unique point of view. You can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord on the website. Join the conversation.
Yes, please come hang out on the Discord. We're having tons of great conversations over there, interacting with folks about the Veilguard, about other games, about books and TV and movies, all sorts of good stuff. As far as personal plugs go, the only other thing I have to promote, of course, is Fun and Games, which I do with Jeff Moonen. We have a Patreon. We have a sub-series called Side Quest, where folks talk about a game they love and why they love it. Really great stuff over there. You can find everything that I'm doing at djstormageddon.com. What about you, Frankie?
I have nothing going on. I am just trying to drill down on my thesis and get it done. If you care about anything that I'm doing. Sometimes I post about it on the internet, sometimes I don't. I don't know. I got nothing over here, man. I am static.
Okay.
I am dead air. That's what I am.
Right. If you follow Frankie on social media, go tell them that you love them. That's the thing you can do. You can send kind messages to Frankie. That's a thing you can do.
Please, it's been so hard these last couple of weeks. My laptop died. I had to pay so much money to get data recovery because the day that I was going to make sure I had all my files backed up is when my laptop died. Yeah. I have a new laptop. He's shiny. I'm naming him Halson because he's a beefy boy.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's very beefy. I will give you a funny story. I was in a coffee shop and I was taking my laptop out of my bag and I said, "Oh, come here, beefy boy." And a couple at a table, like an older couple at a table next to me, both looked at me with horror on their faces. And I was like, "My laptop. I'm talking about my laptop. It's big and it's heavy. It's beefy. I'm going to sit down now." So that's what I'm like in public.
Traumatizing
so
the
you know.
elders.
What I was born to do.
Right, exactly.
Let's move on.
Yes, we'd like to thank the incredible Case Aiken for developing some awesome shirts you can find at certainpov.com or on Teespring. Case also designs each episode's individual show art, and we are super grateful for that.
We'd like to thank Miracle of Sound for our theme music. It's great and we love it.
We do. Also, thank you to the one and only Red Spinks for designing our Dragon Age inspired logo. You can find more of his work at KS Does Art on Instagram.
I highly recommend commissioning Red to do your art. He made some amazing stuff for me, including some special Mass Effect commissions where it is Matt and I as our shepherds, and also when I was doing an Andromeda themed RPG, tabletop RPG. Red beautifully, despite never having played the games or like engaging in that world at all, brought to life my Drell and my best friend's Quarian characters as children and then as adults. Like, Red is amazing. Highly recommend. Please go check out Red Spinks. I just wanted to shout about Red and how much I love him. And lastly, thank you for listening. I'm Frankie.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And remember, all Templars are bastards.
Fight for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk. Hawk, 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 Hawk.
Hey,
Oh, hey, Jeff.
what's going on, guys?
Oh, talking about Superman.
Oh, cool. I could talk about Superman.
I could talk some more about Superman.
We know.
I'll bet a few people would want to get in on this.
I'm down.
That sounds like fun. I'll do it.
Cool, let's do it. We can call the show Men of Steel.
And you can find it at certainpov.com.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yay.
CertainPOV.com.